What about me?
Um,
He unfriended me too.
oh shit.
So sad.
Nah, I'm not missing out much.
Terry, I don't want to ruin anything for the pod, but just
We are recording.
initial like one paragraph thought on how Oregon State looked because we didn't get to like see a ton of the game. Yeah.
I think the people who are worried are rightfully worried.
Stop. Save it.
We're recording.
Yeah, but I'm not chunking this in.
Right after you said fuck it and started recording, some funny shit happened. So keep that chunk that in and then unchunk the
Chunk that
not
in your pipe
suitable
and
chunk.
smoke it.
There is unchunked, rechunked good chunks from the chunk before the chunk that you need to rechunk into the episode when you unchunk the bad chunk out of the episode.
Wow.
Fuck,
This is
baby.
episode
108 of the Belligerent Beavs podcast. The number 108 apparently means full circle based on what Benny shared at the top of the episode, which may or may not be in the episode. Because at this point, I have no idea what's in the episode and what's not in the episode, even though JP says we've been recording linearly. But what
job.
really is linear?
It's a circle.
Time,
Line
only if you can think of time as linear.
in a linear way.
You know, we made a linear drive from Portland to Corvallis. Shout out my Tesla that decided to take us.
My Tesla. JP has a Tesla in addition to his black on black matte Cadillac Escalade from Civil War last November. He's just collecting cars. Doesn't matter that they're yours for 24 hours, essentially. Like you are the owner of that car for that period
It was
of time.
like 55 hours, please.
It was 55 hours.
Yeah.
Woo!
That's a weird number of time for rental agreement. So not only did you have a Tesla, but also you had a Tesla in the Paris of the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
the home of Oregon State University, the Harvard of the Pac-12 or the Pac-2, or however you want to.
This is the Harvard of America.
The Harvard of
Yeah.
America, the original Harvard of America. Fucking, we're gonna get into the game that you guys are present for. I know there's some wild stories. I know you guys rubbed elbows with Giants in a way that I didn't get to do or didn't have the balls to try and do when I was at the opener. Rumor has it JP raced Anthony Gould, the fastest guy on the team.
Yeah, Anthony doesn't know this though.
And not only did Gould dust JP, but also dusted the Tesla that JP was driving. Like, just so much happened. You guys are back in the homeland on that sacred soil that is Corvallis. We've got a lot to get to tonight. We've got a very special guest. We have another Beaver win to break down. We've got the rest of the fall sports to get to as well.
Including
But
other
just
bigger wins.
Oh, huge win.
Bigger wins.
Big ol'
Wins.
tease.
Real giant killing wins about a school that can fuck off and have fun in the ACC. How's that for a tease? Fucking nerds.
Fucking nerds.
But I want to talk about your guys' weekend in Corvallis. You guys went to the bottom of the cock. It looked like the top of the cock might be falling in on the bottom of the cock. How many times can I say cock? I don't. We're already at what? 4. Sky High Brewing.
Claude?
You guys got on the field. It means it implies whatever you were credentialed media, as the Belligerent Beavs are.
Yeah.
Some great, just hard hitting interviews post game on the field. You can see that on at Belligerent Beavs on Instagram. But yeah, this was your guys' first trip to Corvallis this fall for both of you.
Yep.
For a game, yeah.
Like, just being there with getting to experience new Reeser. Benny's shirt was not Belligerent Beavs merchandise, but it was maybe the most passionate loyal, sincere shirt there, Benny. Let's talk about the shirt you had on and the hilarious picture that set up later with our guy Keith.
Yeah, I bought this shirt. It had to have been 2 years ago because it was right when Party in the USA was not an option on the pick the sing along. It just was the sing along. Once that decision was made, I bought a Miley Cyrus shirt, which I stuck in the closet and was planning on wearing to Reese's grand reopening, which I didn't go to. But I honestly thought more people were gonna get it when I wore it. I had a couple people that mentioned, but the people that got it appreciated it, so right. I appreciate them.
That's like when you have a very, very specific Halloween costume from some like indie film that's hilarious, and you go to a party and there's one guy who gets it, and you're like, you and I are now friends.
Yeah,
and no one else cares.
There were 3 people that commented on it. 2 of them were during Party in the USA being sung. But no, I just in general, like it was hard for me to comprehend what the stadium was going to be like, because I heard the same sort of thought from around the Beaver fam, which was it is really, really cool, but there are some kinks that they need to work out, and I fully agree with that. I definitely know what people mean. The new side of the stadium is very cool, though. I really enjoyed myself there. I think the best part of it was the sight lines. Like JP Skins and I were able to just walk down that new side and be looking at the line of scrimmage so frequently. It was really cool.
Where did you guys sit, or did you guys just walk? Were you guys just mobile for the whole
Have
time?
You been to a game with JP before?
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yes, but
we
that
didn't
was.
sit.
It was either high up or terrace.
Right.
And, like, you're talking to the leader of the terrace gang, Terrace Horseman. But
Terrace Horseman.
I was curious to how the seats in the new side would play. So that's why Iskinder and I sat in our seats on the 200 level of the west side. And it was fucking gorgeous. Like, they were on par with where our seats were for the Montana State game at Providence Park, which is on a side that is very recently renovated in a world-class stadium.
I think just my sort of initial impressions were that stadium was cool. You can definitely tell that it is going to be a crazy environment, especially during night games. We were talking about this pre-show, but I think this game was always going to be the game that was going to be most difficult for the fans to get up for, probably the team to get up for. It had trap game written all over it. San Diego State was really struggling. We were playing really good. The day game didn't help. It was before school. It was pretty hot. Yeah. Like on the field, it
wasn't as hot as it was supposed to be.
Right.
It was like 5 degrees cooler, and it was still really hot.
Do you still want black turf, JP?
No, I've already walked that one back.
And the final thing is that it kind of was a boring game. I mean, I always love watching Oregon State, but it was just unbiasedly a not super exciting game. So I think the game that was against UC Davis certainly had a better atmosphere, and I expect that during conference.
A little bit more festive, just because it was the unveiling. And it's just Oregon State can only do so much about kickoff times. It's not their decision.
Right.
So that third non-conference game is always going to be third non-conference game, second home game being a non-conference game is always going to be a little bit of a tough draw, especially just with the Oregon State academic calendar. Like, I know a lot of students came to the UC Davis game, and from our experience, students do come back before school starts, but also it's not the entire student body. It's a lot of the freshmen who are often the most excited about going to football games aren't all there yet. So I think this was kind of, if there was going to be a hiccup, and we'll talk about those hiccups later, but I do think, kinks aside, what you'd expect with any
100%,
like even just like opener of a season.
Yeah, with no new stadium. Right.
But also just like what people you guys ran into, other like places like you went, like JP, like what were some of the highlights of the weekend? Or Benny, if you got it, something to add.
I just had one other comment on the stadium for me was so JP, Iskinder, and I walked down onto the stadium for the first time, and we had a chance to sort of look up. The comment or the feeling that I felt was, for the first time ever in my entire life as a Beaver fan, it felt like we had professional level amenities, professional level playing environment and experience for the players. I mean, you just look around and it is so class. And I just always felt like Reeser was always just kind of looking like it was just blue. Well, it was just like it played to what Oregon State's persona is in a lot of respects, of like, it's blue collar. We're not gonna have anything fancy, but it is nice to have something that's really fancy.
Yeah,
I will say.
It is. We're fancy boys. We're all three fancy boys here.
Yeah.
We act like we're not, but we is though.
JP.
Man, yeah. So it was one of those days where you wonder, like, is there anyone else here that we'll bump into that we haven't yet? Like, because it just felt like every 10 minutes there was somebody that we knew or were recognized by and met and chatted with. It all started with maybe one of our favorite Beavs ever. At bright and early, like pre 10 a.m., we bumped into Alexis Cerna outside of Reeser Stadium.
I haven't even heard this yet. You guys have been saving all of the jealousy-inducing shit for the pod. I hate it.
Yeah, he was hanging out in the varsity, area for the pregame tailgate out on 26th, and he flagged me and Iskender down walking back from the Beaver store. We were chatting with him for a while. It was great to catch up, and of course, it's just fun to hang out with Alexis. He's got that like invigorating personality that's like just gets you so excited about Oregon State, and
always so positive
all the time, and that was a great start to the day. I got to shout out Ryan Harlan. Ryan stopped by the hotel. He brought us a gift that he's been hanging on to since last May.
It's very cool.
I'm going to get some prints done of it, and I'm going to get them framed. But it is the poster of the article of featuring us in the Barometer sports section that was printed off, put on the giant board that they display in the MU Quad when they do a print edition. When they do a print version, they do a big blown up print of some of the top stories. They put them out on like easily type looking things out in the Quad, and one of them was ours, and they saved it for us, and Ryan's been holding on to it. He dropped it off. Very appreciative of him doing that and bringing it by. So thank you again, Ryan. We headed to the stadium, and the name on top of my credential as we're picking them up is John Canzano. And so I'm like, oh, it looks like John's not here yet, to the security guy. And he was definitely very green as a security guy. And he kind of like, I think he looked a little flustered or something. Didn't really understand like that I was just kind of talking tongue in cheek. But so I knew, I'm like, obviously, like I figured John might be there, but knew he might be popping by. And like within like 20 minutes, we're out in the field watching the team get some reps in pregame, and up walks John Canzano, and I'm like, hey, John, introduce ourselves. But like, he was like, oh yeah, Belligerent Beavs, love you guys, keep it up. And like, just like, it was like, thanks for introducing yourselves, and kept walking. So John, thanks for thanks for stopping to say hi. I know you might have some trouble with Beaver fans here and there, but we appreciate your work.
I'm a big Canzano fan.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So
was he reading your credential when he said, "Oh yeah, Belligerent Beavs"? Or
no? I mean, I said it's JP from Belligerent Beavs, and he like right away recognized the brand at least.
Okay.
We talked to Ron Cowan. Shout out Ron, and Ron gave us some insights about how he appreciates us specifically because we don't have to like toe the company line, and we say it. We said, "Yeah, I love that you guys say it how it is."
do
so thank you, Ron. I mean, more so than
we say it how it fizz.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fizzle dance. JP, please play 5 seconds of the Fizzle dance by Max Ray.
Hello, everybody. Hi. I'd like to introduce you to the Fizzle dance.
I told Ron we're gonna play Fizzle Dance after talking about him. I don't know.
This is the first Ron Callan Mac Dre collaboration ever, and it's fucking glorious.
But like, I'll start speeding through all these. I mean, there were so many people that said hi, and then some of our favorite listeners as well. We got to see again, and we, Shelly, Linda, Warren. Like, there was more. Stan.
Yeah, you guys got to see Stan. I didn't see Stan last week. Fuck.
Yes.
Shout out Stan.
But one of them was I had the courage to go up to Scott Barnes, and
This is what I wanted to hear.
yes, and it was only us and like Steve Priest.
Put us on the bench,
field.
Scott. We've got legal equity. Put us on the bench. Eric Michael.
We've talked about how we have a lot of faith in Scott, and we have appreciated the way he's approached the situation right now for Oregon State in conference realignment. But it's one of those things that you said, like, see him in a conference, read him in the paper. But like to talk to him and look, we didn't ask him his thoughts. Like, it wasn't an interview. It was very informal. It was just like a hey, face to name, hello, good to meet you.
And we just said we really appreciate how you've been handling this.
And he said, "Thank you guys." And we said, "Look, we are trying to we do our best to cover everything from an optimistic point of view because that's just the way we are." And he's like, "We need all the positivity we can get. We need all the momentum we can get." He's like, "And I won't quit." What did he say? Like, "I won't quit until we get there or something." And it was like,
yeah, we're gonna get this done.
"Oh yeah, we're gonna get this done." And I was like, "Wow!" He looked us dead in the eye and just said that without being like, "Can you give us a quote for the podcast?" It was just that was his personality. Chills, man. I don't even know what to say except for thank you, and I'm gonna walk away.
And then it was just word for word the speech from Miracle before they beat the Soviets, and it was like, whoa.
There is a aura that Scott Barnes had when we were talking to him that you don't get in the newspaper clippings and you don't get in these audio bites. That if anyone were to question either Barnes or Murphy and how they're approaching this, I have to say, like, I have 100% faith that they are putting in 100% of their effort. This is
Dude,
like
the
their
sincerity
soul beat
in in the way he talked to us about this, like unprovoked, unprompted.
Yeah.
Where was he when you guys ran into him?
Right where the Beavers run out of the
Yeah.
locker room.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
actually,
on the
he
field
walked
pretty
by
gangster.
us on the east side. We were down there. I was getting some shots of the Beaver Dam filling up, and then he walked by us, and I was like, "Oh yeah, wow."
He was
Yeah.
focused like a player was before a game. Like, that's
Yeah.
what it came off as me. Like, his mind was on one thing, and that was making sure Oregon State's future is secure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, got to shout out Coach Bubba. We met Coach Bubba and his wife.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so, Marla, I'm sure you're listening. It was great to finally meet Coach Bubba in person.
Yes.
Son of Marla. Legend.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Good friend of the pod.
Yeah. Super approachable, super nice guy.
Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was maybe in a very strange way the antithesis of saying hello to Coach Tinkle, who gave us a very stern "Go Beavs," and then proceeded to shatter Benny's shoulder blade.
It is on the same side as my broken hip, so I don't know if you like twisted
Wait, you
something.
met Tinkle too? Or
Yeah.
you hung out with Tinkle this weekend? And
Yeah.
he shattered your shoulder blade?
Well, I said "Go Beavs," and he responded and just gave me like a
shoulder
just a friendly little nudge, but
But
his
he's
friendly
actually
nudge was
he's the size of Optimus Prime, so it
Yeah.
just knocked you into last Tuesday.
Like Benny walked up to me like 10 minutes later, and he was like, "Oh man, Tinkle really packs a punch."
Why? Wayne Tinkle beat the shit out of me in the concourse. It's weird. I just
Yeah,
said, when
man.
you getting back to the Elite Eight, Haas? I'm kidding. But that would be hilarious if, like, a bunch of shit happened in Corvallis. We got local boys. We went to the Peacock. We met Scott Barnes. All sorts of stuff. And and Wayne Tinkle fought Benny.
Never.
Never. We know you wouldn't do that, Coach. We're just having fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's. We'll your guys' amazing weekend in Corvallis will keep coming up as we talk through the game. But we got a few things to get to. We do need to get through tonight's Reagan Beer segment, and then we'll very, 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 very fast Reagan Beer segment tonight, and then we will get into our interview with the one and only Roger Sherman, our special guest of the night. We haven't had a guest in a while, and we've been saving it for this man, formerly of The Ringer, doing the college football road trip to end all road trips, and we can't wait to hear from Roger. So I will go first in this very fast Reagan Beer segment. Tonight, I have, from the generosity of one of my Husky fan friends here in Minneapolis, not Baba Ganoush. Not Baba Ganoush. One.
Say his name.
Don't. A different one. There are two. There are
No.
two based here, and who every turn are like, hey, similar to other lines of conversation we'll have on this episode. Like, I'm all in on the Beavs. I'm all in on the Beavs. Y'all getting fucked. Y'all getting fucked. And I'm like, it's too late. But it's,
You
they're at
had
least
your
been supportive,
chance.
and he left these beers at my house, and they're very good. I have from Surly Brewing Company in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Todd the Axeman, which is their most famous India Pale Ale, also known as an IPA, JP. It is dank, hoppy, and loud, and I am all three of those things, baby.
And what does an axe man do, Terry?
Chops shit.
That's
down.
right. He chops them.
Oh!
Them, chops them. And this is named after, well, it is now just Axeman because I believe there's a part of the ways, but it was originally Todd the Axeman, named after an epic, amazing local brewer named Todd.
Axeman.
His last name was the Axeman. Like those three words, all one word. The Axeman.
Yeah.
Hyphenated.
Probably related to Horstman somewhere down the line with the
Right.
same like last name.
Yes.
But yeah, Surly Brewing, Todd the Axeman, excellent beer. Axeman IPA, dank, hoppy, and loud. Basically what describes this podcast. So
Thank.
JP, you go next.
So I left my beers in the Hill Garden Inn fridge. Shout out whoever there's the house cleaner of the Hill Garden Inn room 202. I hope you
202.
enjoyed your present.
If you're staying in 202 for the next Beaver home game, check the fridge.
Yeah, they've got some real good fresh hops. They might not be as fresh by the time you get there. But I was hoping to drink my fresh hop West Coast Ripe from Great Notion.
Okay.
And since I forgot it, I am drinking my Starburst.
If only a Great Notion was somewhere nearby.
If only.
If only.
Yo, and I have to shout out the front desk at the Hill Garden Inn. Supposedly, they asked super secret producer Skinner if we were with Belligerent Beavs. He told him yes. The guy said that's super cool. I listened. I didn't catch his name. But when I came strolling back from the Peacock, I said, Are you the guy who listens to Belligerent Beavs? He's like, yeah, you Belligerent Beavs? I was like, yeah. Boom, threw him a koozie and just kept walking, and we all felt cool. So I apologize for not talking more, but I also had to go let my dog out, who had been in the hotel room for like 7 hours.
Oh, you had Lola with you?
Yeah, I had Lola with me.
That surprised me so much when I got there. I know you had told me you had to
crazier,
take your dog
crazier.
out, but I wasn't listening.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
but-
I have a Starburst. It's good. It's great, actually. That's why I still drink them.
It's always great. It's always great. All right, Benny.
Yeah, I had just one Moxie Mint. It's a 5 milligrammer, so it's not too crazy. But after
Right.
this weekend, I needed something that wasn't going to be nuts.
Needed something chill.
Needed something chill.
So that wasn't going to be nuts.
It wasn't
what's
gonna
about
be
to be
nuts,
nuts,
no.
but in a good way, is our conversation with the one, the only, the Odysseus of college football road trips. I'm regretting that comparison the second after it left my mouth, because there's the end game's not the best. But anyway, the man who is doing the coolest college football road trip ever, and is also all in on the Beavs, a dude whose writing I have been following since he's been at the Ringer, and we are privileged, blessed, honored, thankful to have him with us tonight. We welcome to the Belligerent Beavs podcast, episode 108, the one and only Mr. Road Raj himself, Roger Sherman, everybody.
Hey, Roger.
What's up, Roger?
Hey, Roger.
Sorry to keep you guys waiting. I had to drive from West Virginia to New York City.
You're back home now, then, huh?
Yeah, it looks like you're in a very domesticated household.
I am home. I am home until Wednesday. I think this is actually the second of 3 weeks in a row where I'm going to spend some time at home, which is really nice. I do wish, I guess it's probably better New York City than like Corvallis for a cross-country road trip base, but like a better option would be like Chicago or Nashville or something like that. Because like you have to make it all the way back to the East Coast every time, and it's just like there's nothing here nearby. Like the closest FBS team is Rutgers, and I've already seen them. So I wish I was a little bit more centrally located.
All good.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You sound great.
good.
That is, of course, the voice of Roger Sherman, the genius behind Road Raj, who we are blessed to be joined with on this episode of the Belligerent Beavs podcast. You know his work from The Ringer and is now on The Odyssey to end all odysseys. 4-month long, season long, cross country college football road trip. And as he said on Twitter and in Discord and in other places, all in on the Beavs this year, as everyone in America with a heart and a soul is also in.
America's team. America's
Let's go.
team.
Right. So
It's really just, if you're not a fan of the Pac-2 right now, you don't have a soul and you don't understand what's great about college football.
Oh, say it louder.
I will scream it if you need me to.
Yeah, we might. We actually might.
we appreciate
Well-
that. But it's good to see that you're at least home and on a couch
Yes.
that's yours and at
Yes.
least getting the chance to relax a little bit. But for our listeners who may be learning about this for the first time now, just sort of explain like the idea behind it a little bit, and then just maybe what the trip has been like so far, because the trip for you is in its infancy, but it feels like it's been a complete whirlwind already.
Yes, I feel too tired for week 3 out of 13 plus bowl season. Basically, I had an extremely awesome job writing about football, NFL and college football for The Ringer, mainly blogging, mainly from home. So I decided that I wanted to go see all the places that I've been writing about, all the stadiums, all the teams. So I left my job and I've been driving around the country trying to go to as many football games as I can. I'm up to 10 so far through the first 3 weeks. I'm tracking somewhere between 50 and 60 is my goal.
Nice.
And you're right. The first few weeks, I already feel exhausted, and like I've gotten to spend time at home. So I'm kind of learning to balance like trying to push myself as hard as I can, and also like not dying and taking care of my body and like eating like a normal person. Like 3 straight days of tailgate food followed by a 14-hour drive is not feasible. So I need to set some boundaries for myself going forward.
This is like the sports angle of Super Size Me if you kept on that route.
Yeah. It's like there's nothing green at a tailgate.
Right.
There might not be a single vitamin in my entire body right now.
Right.
It's just completely, maybe some minerals, but no vitamins. That's for sure. Coming from West Virginia yesterday. And it's definitely not like it's also not just the stadium food. It's also like if you're driving and you're trying not to get too far from the interstate, like
Right.
the food options are pretty limited. Trying to go with like I try to like go to Costco and buy like the healthiest non-perishable snack foods possible, but even then there's a limit to how healthy that can be for a human being.
And also how many kind bars you can have in like
Yeah.
a one month span.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a test of will for sure. And I'm a proud Patreon member and in the Road Raj Discord.
Thank you.
And I think my favorite channel in the Road Raj Discord is one aptly titled "Is Roger Alive?" and that you chime in on just I am alive, and then we get then we get the update on your well-being.
Well, sometimes I try to be a little bit more descriptive, but like sometimes like just getting to the place feels like an accomplishment, and then there's a football game afterwards.
Right,
Like,
you need to tailgate
you know-
for 6 hours and interview people and
Okay.
stuff.
I am not going to tailgate for 6 hours most of the time. Yesterday was special. Yesterday was a short drive, and I knew that I had a place to stay in town, so I was able to tailgate for literally 6 hours before the West Virginia game. The guy I met up had started at 7 a.m. for a 7 o'clock kick. Because I mean, when you've been waiting 12 years, to play Pitt,
Right.
what's 12 hours? You know, what's 12 hours? Of
12
drinking?
hours and then the rest of your life, like.
Yeah.
Did they have those T-shirts made for 12 years as well? The Eat Shit Pit T-shirts that were all seemingly everywhere?
Brother, they wear those just like around. They wear that in August. They'll wear that in the off season. They were telling me that like they'll get like an Eat Shit Pit chant started just like at a bar in like the springtime. Like if someone accidentally plays Sweet Caroline and doesn't realize what they've started, they do the Eat Shit Pit chant. And like It's I mean, not to jump ahead to the Oregon State section here, but like I think part of the reason it's fascinating that I'm going around and doing this now is because of how much the sport is changing. Unfortunately, bad things are happening to our beloved Beavs. Like it's like when you see what happened to that West Virginia Pitt rivalry due to conference realignment, is these two fan bases were living 90 minutes apart from each other, or I think maybe even less. I didn't drive from Pitt to Morgantown, so I don't actually know. Like they root for the same pro sports teams, probably as you guys do with the Blazers, with Ducks fans. And they have so much in common, and they just hate each other so much, and they've been involved in so many big games over the years, and then they were just not a part of each other's lives, and that hate was just simmering. And to see what it meant to everyone yesterday was really special.
What was the feeling or any sense that you got from the fans there about what realignment did to the rivalry? I mean, obviously none of them would be fans of it, but
yeah, they would bring it up without me saying it, and I tend to veer into this conversation pretty hard because like I can't stop thinking about like the way the sport is changing, and like when you go to these games, it's all about that. It's all about playing the teams close to you. But yeah, they were just like West Virginia. I mean, they went to the bigger conference as the Big East was dissolving, but they ended up much less happy because they're not near any of the teams they're playing against. Like they don't. You could go hop in a car and watch Pitt because it's like I can't determine how many miles away it is, but it's very drivable. But you can't do that for Kansas or Texas Tech or any of the schools that they've been matched up against. And like there's definitely a sense of like kind of they're unsure whether to even be proud of the thing that they've done, because hypothetically going to the Big 12, good move for them, but it didn't actually bring them the fulfillment they wanted. And I'm not sure that same thing will happen with Oregon, but like it's definitely like a sign of the misaligned priorities. And you're just kind of like shaking your fist at a higher power for ruining the sport, but also in their case they sort of had a say in it. They chose to be in that conference. It's like they were happy yesterday that they finally got to play Pitt again after so long, and they won. But I think they would have been happier not waiting 10 years to make it happen.
Kind of bringing this then back to the Pac-2, the current situation going on unfolding with the Pac-12. I've had this conversation with a couple different people in the last like day or two, and everyone's kind of in the same boat. Where, yeah, it's like go see what you can do that's going to make your life better, and that's like everyone's kind of feelings around Washington and Oregon, et cetera, all moving on. But also at the same point, burning the village behind you as you leave doesn't really seem well, or sit well one with the fans, but also seem well with your future perspectives, because if things don't go well and you do get homesick, you don't want to have nothing left behind you when you need to return back at some point. So I'm curious, like what your thoughts are around like the lawsuits currently that are unfolding, the restraining order, and kind of like the intentions of the schools that are leaving the Pac-12. Maybe put yourself in their shoes, how you would handle it if you were one of the departing schools.
It's just gross, man. Like I like joked up top about the Pac-2. I'm sure you guys are can't tell whether you guys are sick of hearing about it or you're kind of going along with the.
We have several T-shirts that strongly suggest how hard we're leaning into it.
Yeah.
So we can't.
What's the T-shirt say?
So it's like we actually did this on a whim, but it's like a not exactly cartoon Benny and not exactly cartoon Butch T. Cougar wearing bandanas like Tupac next to each other, and then it says Pac-2.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
We donated all the proceeds over. We split it between the Coug Collective, NIL Collective for the Washington State, and then Damnation NIL as well. So it was just a fun little drop we did, and it was well received. But yeah, there's a lot of people who do actually really like the Pac-2 idea. So. Right. Well, yeah, we'll keep riding that wave.
It is thankfully two fan bases who have always gotten along. So I think that makes it easier to lean in, but also we're all aligned in it's bullshit that we have to lean in together in the first place.
I mean, I can't remember being more like just like there have been conference realignment things in the past that are like disappointing, but I can't remember just being more like just philosophically upset about what they're trying to do. Like it's not every time I think that they've like hit like a point where I'm like, okay, you're like abandoning these schools behind you. You're like, you're chasing TV money, which, that's been done before. It's not great. You're kind of abandoning the regionality of the sport, all these things that are bad. And then on top of it, for them to like come after the two other schools, like it's just, oh my God, it just keeps getting worse. And like, I don't know if you guys are able to see a little bit of the national perspective on it, but like, I think that's a pretty common opinion, like that it doesn't have to go down like this. They don't need to go after everything. And it seems like they're trying to. It's just, I do not like it. And I think you'll find a lot of like, people, I like semi joking about how much I like am rooting for the Beavs this year, and like, but I really can't remember being this like upset about a move in conference realignment. I think like this Stanford and Cal going to the ACC thing is just like funny bad, but the way Oregon and Washington treated Oregon State and Washington State, I think like actually gets me upset.
What do you envision college football looking like in 5 years? And we were talking about this yesterday of, does it become a minor league, like the SEC and the Big Ten become a minor league for the NFL, or what do you envision?
And I mean, what I keep thinking about, and I have a lot of time to think because I'm driving across the United States, like part of the pitch for my like concept here is that attending a college football game in person is like a unique, one of a kind experience that can't be replicated on TV. And that's been proven true like time and time again. I've gone to 10 games so far, and every time I'm like, I see things that I wouldn't have captured on TV. I feel an experience in a moment that would be visible through a TV screen. And yet we've made the choice to make this sport almost entirely a TV product. And I think what concerns me about like that's fine. Football is great to watch on TV. I love it. But I wonder if what scares me and what like actually makes me worried about things is like part of what makes college football entertaining. It's not that the players are better than the NFL players. It's that those atmospheres are special, and those environments and those rivalries are special. So you're crafting everything around it being a TV product at the expense of the things that actually make it a good TV product. It's like, really good way to put it. It's like, well, like I said, I have a lot of time to
Have you revised that one a few times? Yeah. While you're driving?
I'm sitting in the car. Like,
how many books have you written on the road trip so far, just by reciting them into like a recorder while driving, Roger?
I have written 0, but if there are any literary agents listening to this podcast, my email is roadraj@gmail.com.
We can get this in front of literary agents. We can talk off air about that.
What's great about books apparently is that they like pay you in advance before you write it, and I really need that to happen.
So you can just not do it and disappear.
No, then I think they make you pay the money back.
Then they come after you, but right,
Yes, but as someone without an income currently, I'm hoping for that to happen. No, I do talk into a microphone sometimes. I think a lot of my notes are also just like I try to interview people, and that's on camera, so I can look at it later, or like I try to like film myself talking about like what I just saw at the game, and like that goes into the videos I make afterwards, but it's also hypothetically useful for like that like note taking. But sorry, did I just turn a joke question into a serious answer?
a little bit, but this is kind of a joke. This is a joke podcast that turns into serious discussions, and then back to jokes. I was just gonna say the conversation to yourself that you filmed after Kansas beat Illinois in Lawrence, where you had to like contemplate just your own mortality a little bit because the home team couldn't lose with you in the house, which I do believe has been. Are home team still undefeated with you, or did
Iowa State lost to Iowa?
Of course, Iowa ruins fun always. As a native Minnesotan, I can say that about Iowa.
I'm 9-1 right
There you
now,
go.
which I mean, I'll need to look at like the Vegas lines to see how improbable that is. But like West Virginia was not favored yesterday.
Mhm.
I think I've seen a couple of underdog victories at home. Definitely Clemson over Duke, or Duke over Clemson, I should say.
Right.
So if you want me to tweak my plans to attend,
Yeah, Washington
yeah.
at home would be great.
Yeah, please. I was going to encourage you to drive to Pullman because I'm really mad that College Game Day is not going to Pullman for Oregon State at Washington State this weekend. But don't go, Roger. Go to Corvallis for.
well, let me put it this way: I'm in New York right now, so I had no intentions of driving to Pullman.
You'd have to leave this morning.
By Saturday.
So, yeah,
I have to leave now. But no, I was going to say I'm planning on going to Oregon State in Eugene. But then again, the one game I've seen that the home team lost was an in-state rivalry. The road team won. So like maybe that's the loophole.
I think
There you
that's, yeah, that's the.
I actually have a question about that Iowa State game because that seemed. I mean, my question is, what was the atmosphere around there? Because you had so many other extracurricular things going on at that game with politicians showing up, and it seemed like it was a big spectacle. We were sort of trying to understand or just talk about what that atmosphere would look like. But just like your firsthand experience, what was it like?
I think the thing is, like, to a normal person, like having 11 presidential candidates in a game is like, wow, that must be interesting. But the people from Iowa are so like used to it. Like,
Sure.
like literally every 4 years, 1 out of every 4 years is just filled with politicians coming to their state and doing random stuff. So like
so weird. Yeah.
like a lot of people there at the game, I'm sure there were people of all political spectrums there, but like I don't think people were that excited, even if they were Trump supporters, because they're like, oh, I just want to go to this football game. I just want us to beat Iowa. Like
It's like the one escape from politics is sports, and
Okay.
yeah,
right,
and,
like,
like,
And there
yeah,
they are.
like,
yeah.
and there they are, like pretending to care about the like the Cyhawk game, and like we know that you don't.
Right.
We know that you're pandering. Like this happens every 4 years. You show
Right.
up, you put on a Hawkeyes hat or whatever, and like you act like it's a big. So like there was just a lot of like, oh, let's just watch the goddamn football game. Like that was
Right.
the vibe I got from people.
Right. If
Like-
you can't talk
like-
about the Brock Purdy era at Iowa State in detail, I don't want to
Dude,
hear you open your
So
goddamn
many
mouth.
Brock
Yeah.
Purdy jerseys, man. So many Brock Purdy jerseys.
Yes.
Well, there's a
Hey,
couple
hey.
other there's a couple Niner fans on this podcast.
That's right.
So yeah, there's drinking the Purdy Kool-Aid for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many Brock Purdy jerseys, and like I'm a Jets fan, and there were a lot of guys in like Brees Hall. Like the Jets have like
Nice, yeah.
3 Iowa State guys, so I was like, I was feeling the love from them. It's always funny when there's a like a weird connection like that. Like I'm sure you guys were all like Bengals fans in the 2000s.
Yeah, there were a lot of Ocho and Hoosh jerseys around Corvallis. Like Bengals
Yeah, there
jerseys.
still are.
Yeah.
There still are. Yeah,
They also they blend in as game day colors, right? Like
Yeah,
how
they're-
different is that orange from the
Not
Oregon
very.
State orange?
Nearly
Yeah.
identical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
It's a little bit like brighter and brasher, I think, than I'm looking directly at your Beaverhead shirt. Like it's
Right,
it's
yeah.
yours a little bit more muted, I feel like. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, no, I mean, that's a circumstance that just happened to happen. What other the Brock Purdy jerseys, like the red kind of meshed with like the Iowa State colors too, but like it wasn't as perfect.
Right.
What has been, because you've been to 10 games so far, has there been any game where you went to and you're like, this is an atmosphere that I was not expecting at all, or there was unique parts of the atmosphere that you weren't expecting? Like which game did you come away with where it was either way better or way worse than what you thought it was going to be?
So the thing is, yesterday was by far the best day of the trip. Like yesterday was just perfect, but I also kind of like went in expecting that. Like I really wanted to see Morgantown. I really wanted to see the brawl. Nothing has really been way worse than I expected. I think I just generally approach things with like an air of positivity. Like I'm excited to see people be happy about their team. I thought it was nice to see people be pumped about Kansas. Like I think they're like figuring out how to be excited about football, and they're just really giddy about it. That was a fun spot that I wasn't expecting to be so fun.
Right. And like Duke has to be like, I know Duke has had some decent teams more so than Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
But like there's been a stretch of just like clear basketball schools having some pretty big football wins so far this season, which always I feel like makes it fun.
I'm like biased, but like that was I'm like biased towards small schools with no fan bases like winning games like that because I'm a Northwestern fan and like I'm very used to the stadium being 50-50. And like the great part of a game like that is not just all the happy fans of the school that didn't expect to win, but that stadium was like all orange. The entire other side of the stadium was Clemson fans, and that was really fun. I wouldn't say the like atmosphere like surprised me that much. It's a cool stadium. I did think they had a kind of a retro setup there that was fun. But yeah, I mean it's gonna be really hard to top what I saw yesterday, but I'm gonna keep going to like I think the guideline is to go to the games that like mean the most to people as opposed to the games that have the most ranked teams in them.
What games are you looking at going? Yeah, I think we're
what's on the docket for week 4?
Yeah.
Give us a sneak peek.
So week 4, yeah. So there's one game on Thursday night, and if there's one game on a night, you kind of have to go to it, and that's at Coastal Carolina. So I'll go to that. Then I'm going to. It's a little bit of a long drive, so I'm not 100% committed to it. But on Friday is Wisconsin at Purdue. That's like a 12-hour drive.
Benny and I have some recommendations for West Lafayette. We went to the Oregon State game at there in 2021. So.
West Lafayette's it's a fun little town.
I need to see how big the drum is, man.
You do, and it's big.
It is.
It's a big ass drum. But you got to see it for yourself.
You got to see it for yourself. And then on Saturday, I'm going to Cincinnati's first Big 12 game against Oklahoma.
And that'd be good.
I'm a little bit bummed that they lost yesterday to Miami, Ohio. Kind of take some of the buzz out of it.
Right.
But like you just know they've been waiting to get into the conference they've been waiting to be in a power conference ever since they stopped being in one, and they almost missed, or they've been really affected by not being in a conference, and now they're in one. And if they beat Oklahoma, they will be talking about that. You know what I like about the Big 12 this year? It's like there's all the new teams in the conference get exactly one shot at beating Texas and Oklahoma, and Cincinnati doesn't get Texas, they only get Oklahoma. So this is like their one chance to win a game like that. And if I go and they miss, I tried. But if I go and my streak or my winning percentage stays good, they'll be talking about that for decades.
They'll be thanking you forever. Like they'll give you like an honorary doctorate from the University of Cincinnati.
Oh, for sure. I will get lifetime Skyline Chili pass.
Yes. The best.
Skyline Chili.
Is there a Corvallis food?
Local boys.
Yeah.
We swear that the best Hawaiian food in the world outside of Hawaii is
in Hawaii.
It's
so good.
It was started by Hawaiians, so there's that credibility. But Local Boys Hawaiian Cafe. I believe I shared a pic with the Discord, Roger, when I was in Corvallis last weekend.
And this isn't it's not a debate in Corvallis. That's the right answer.
It's one of those like, there's a recruit that we're fighting over that's on a visit in Corvallis. Like you better bring them to Local Boys. If you're trying to lock it in with them, like bring them to Local Boys.
We have our pizza and like other fast food, like every campus
place has pizza, man. Yeah.
Right. So Local Boys Hawaiian Cafe.
I also like that because, like, at first I'd be like, that's not a Oregon thing, that's a Hawaii thing. But I literally cannot go to Hawaii. They do not have a highway out there yet for me to drive.
And I believe it's still true that Hawaiian students get in-state tuition in the state of Oregon. At least that's true when we were in school.
Yeah.
So like there is like an actual Hawaiian population, and we've always had a tradition of Hawaiian and American Samoan players playing at Oregon State.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
That there'd be good food there.
Yeah. What game, or I guess I'll put it this way: what stadium and school do you have circled as a must visit this season?
Well, Well, the stadium, the answer when people ask what stadium is LSU, I want to go to Death Valley. I want to see a night game at LSU. I come through with that answer every time. What game I want to see? Like I've kind of hinted at it, and I keep not shutting up about it. But seeing all the rivalry games that are going away, like or rivalry games that are coming back, I'm trying to hit up as many of those as possible. I feel like I feel like LSU has like elite tier both football environment and tailgating environment. So if I could get both of those two things in one trip, yeah, and there's not a lot of schools that necessarily have both in that upper tier. So that's kind of that's one I've always wanted to see. I also want to pet as many dog mascots as I can. So that's not exactly answering your question, but I don't think Colorado lets you pet the buffalo, but maybe
they might let you pet the buffalo though.
No,
maybe ride them
when it's in its
ride. Yeah.
I don't know if Colorado's gotten enough hype so far this year, Roger.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe we can go out there and shed some light on the new primetime era at the University of Colorado.
Yeah, just like kind of one of these cool under the radar stories that no one talks about.
Who is Shedeur Sanders? I have never heard of him.
Has Oregon State ever considered domesticating a beaver?
Oh, it used to. That was the original mascot, I believe, was a live beaver.
Like,
was it?
Yes, like in 1910 or 20, it was a live beaver, and then it had no real mascot.
And then it chewed through like the 100-person stadium at the time, and the bleachers collapsed.
The wooden bleachers were just splinters.
So I guess specifically I said, have they ever domesticated one? And it sounds like the answer is no.
Yeah, no.
They had one.
Not in the modern era. They should.
It was not in any way, shape, or form domesticated.
No.
It was just a beaver.
Yeah, there's just a beaver they found and put it on the field.
I don't think it would have the same impact as a buffalo running into the stadium as a beaver waddling its way.
Well, I don't know about that.
With the tail slap?
Yeah.
The tail slap that we play at
If you could
kickoff?
domesticate it and get it to do a tail slap, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold a chainsaw. Then
Right.
Benny's out of a job if that's the case.
You would need to have like a little aquatic environment for it, like where it can like
Right.
I'm picturing like a little babbling water feature,
Oh.
like with like some stones and like it's just swimming around and like putting logs in various places. This is in my head.
Yeah, we just had a stadium renovation and they didn't include this. Yeah.
Well, they have to do the roof of the Valley Football Center. So, Scotty Barnes, I know you're listening. We saw you yesterday. And now you're definitely listening after we talked to you on the field yesterday. At the
Right. He
game.
did say he would start listening to the show.
So, if you're listening right now, take Roger's advice. Build a nice little beaver aquatic center on top of Valley Football Center, and then let them live. Let them just thrive up there. When there's a touchdown, let them go down a little slide, and they can celebrate on the field with the team.
They can shoot out a little stick.
Like this. I like this. I don't, in my head, it's like a cross between like the thing the Los Angeles Angels have in the outfield. Like, they have that
little
like water thing.
Yeah.
Through the rocks and stuff.
If they would have done it for the rally monkey.
They should have. Yeah, they missed opportunity. Sorry, I know you didn't bring me on to.
No, this is precisely why we.
Yeah.
If there wasn't live animals as mascots conversation or in this guest appearance, we would have been disappointed with ourselves.
Well, anytime there's there's a million wildcats, there's a million
Tigers,
bulldogs, but if you have tigers, but if you're the only one that has that specific mascot and you don't have a live one on the sideline, it's just a missed opportunity.
right?
With the exception of the ones that like can seriously kill people, like they don't need to have like a Florida gator out there
Or a Wolverine.
Or a Wolverine, yeah.
for a Wolverine. But as you guys said, they've tried the beaver thing before. There was serious property damage. But I feel like
it was more than 100 years ago. They didn't have technology.
They also
I don't even know what
built-
domesticated meant.
They don't build stadiums out of wood anymore, so you're fine.
Right.
I can confirm the support for the foundation of the new side of Reeser is not made out of wood.
Pretty much all of Reeser now.
I'd be a little shocked if it was. But yeah, so Roger Sherman, Road Raj, Patreon, Twitter,
Yes.
Instagram, YouTube. You will be in Myrtle Beach on Thursday night. That's a great start to a weekend already.
That looks
Yeah,
like a fun stadium too.
Right. Wait, who's Coastal Carolina playing on Thursday?
I think Georgia State. It's not a huge game, but
Right.
like it's a Thursday night game. I feel like when you're one of those group of five schools and like you have that primetime slot, they like make sure to hype it up and like the fan bases go out for those. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm also thinking like I'm gonna get down there a day early and like maybe go to the beach, like bring my yeah. I said the phrase bathing suit to an old West Virginia man yesterday, and he was like, "You mean swim trunks? A bathing suit is what ladies wear." And I didn't know that distinction was. I've been saying bathing suit my whole life. Like what's
Yeah.
You didn't notice the looks? I was just kidding.
Right.
but anyway, so I'm thinking about getting down there a day early, especially because I want to sleep as long as possible because then I have to drive like pretty much immediately after the game to get to Purdue.
Okay. Nice. And then so Purdue against who's Purdue's playing on Friday?
Wisconsin.
Sorry. Purdue, Wisconsin, who have lost to the Cougs 2 years in a row now, but are part of the haves and not the have-nots. Interesting.
Roger, how many Pac-12 schools have you been to see a game at?
So I went to Utah week 1. That was a bit much. Driving out to Utah was a bit much. I've been to games. I went to a UCLA game at the Rose Bowl, and I think that's pretty much it. That's why I want to do this because I want to see all these places. I've actually never been inside of the state of Oregon, so I'm looking forward to that. It's a for some reason that upper left corner of the country I've just never been to, so I'm going to fix that. Well, specifically based around Oregon State and Washington State, we're going to build a country for you guys.
Yeah, I love that. Speaking of, I was curious about how much you've been studying up on your the Gospel of Jaquiz Rogers, and if you have been studying the Holy Bible of Quiz, what's your favorite verse so far?
I know of Jaquiz Rogers. I didn't know there was a religious movement. I'm very fond of Jaquiz Rogers. I mean, he's one of my top 3 favorite people named Jaquiz for sure.
Nice.
And
That's a Heisman criteria for sure.
Do you have any quotes you can give me? I'm not well versed in the quotes.
No, he wasn't very outspoken either. So if you're actually asking for anything he has said, it was written down. It's probably less than a page.
Sorry for not being well versed on Jaquiz outside of being a fan of it.
Oh, good.
But I'm looking forward to. I don't know if it's just so hard to like. It's not just that it's far from me. It's that it's like literally the schools and the places are farther apart out west, so it's hard to get out there. But I do plan on going to that Oregon State game. I know it's Eugene and not Corvallis, and then because that game is on Friday, and then the Apple Cup is on Saturday, so I can hit them both pretty easily. Right. And there's it just means I have to not go to Thanksgiving, but that's okay. I work on Thanksgiving anyway.
That's us every year.
We all did that last year.
Yeah, we watched Duke barely beat Oregon State in basketball at the Memorial Coliseum
on Thanksgiving morning. Yeah, and then the next day or 2 days later was Oregon in football. So that
like the Nike thing.
The PK 85 was
You're like North Carolina and UConn and Duke, and it was a big showcase.
It was fun, but it was also why I didn't spend Thanksgiving with my family.
Right.
Mainly the football game, but also seeing us come within a 3-pointer of Duke. Losing to Duke by 3 and then beating Oregon in that crazy comeback 2 days later is maybe the 2 best Oregon State sporting events I have been to in my life. His name is Roger Sherman. You can find his work everywhere, but especially YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon. Join his Discord, support him. Roger, do you have anything else you'd like to promote before we let you get some well-deserved rest?
Well, I was just gonna say, normally I have to chime in and say that Rogers is spelled with a D, and it's just like Jaquiz,
Yeah,
there you go.
Full circle, Roger.
RODGER. So yeah. I'm doing things on basically every platform and finding out which one I'm actually good at, and we'll move from there.
Roger, I got
Sounds
one
so
more
fun.
before you go though. This one's
Oh, yeah.
funny because this is. I was trying to just look back. Like, did we ever cross paths with Belligerent Bees and at Roger or any platform? And we did. We have, and it caught our eye again because it's actually quite funny. And I kind of need you to explain.
It's not a gotcha moment. We would have done that
No,
earlier in the
yeah, no, not at all. But I'm just curious because this is back on September 14th. So a little over 2 years ago, September 14th, 2021. And you talked about the best college football coaching job in the country being.
Yeah. I know where this is going.
Yes.
I mentioned that, like, I now know who John, like, at the time I was like, I was kind of making fun of the fact that someone with like the most forgettable name in the world had the job for a few years and hadn't broken through or done anything, and he was still doing fine and had a big salary. And a couple Bees fans were like quietly protesting, like not mad about it, but very politely, like, hey, he's doing a good job. And 2 years later, I must completely agree. Jonathan Smith kicks ass.
So no more quotation marks around his name?
No, I know who he is. I know what he looks like. I am vaguely familiar with his offensive philosophies. The thing is, it's not like I was wrong because I didn't actually say that he was doing a bad job, but
Yes, agreed.
I want to upgrade it to, like, the thing is, I'm writing for Oregon State because of circumstance, but they're also good and fun.
Yeah.
Like, I put a little bit of money on them to win the Pac-12 at the beginning of the year, and they have to have like one of the top point. Like, obviously the opponents have not been good, but like, what are you guys up like 180 to like 25 on the year? Like, what's the point differential at this point?
We gave up 9 points to San Diego State this week, and fans are freaking out. More so because the offense didn't blow them out of the water this time. But yeah, our games so far this year have been 42-17, 55-7, and 26-9, and that's not good enough. And 5 years ago, pre-Jonathan Smith, we were the worst Power 5 team in the country, arguably.
Roger, we're about to put the quotation marks back on Jonathan Smith's name if we can't score more than 26 points against San Diego State.
Who is this guy? No, like, I'm the joking Oregon State support is backed up by actual football. That, like, I hope you guys have an awesome season, and
thank you.
It actually seems plausible.
Right. And if a team were to ever employ just a fake coach to get like on the margins of just bowl game eligibility, like adjacency, they would name that fake coach like Jonathan Smith.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Make him like a 6'1" white guy.
He played quarterback at the school years ago. No one will remember.
Say he was a good quarterback 20 years ago. They'll just believe it. Roger, thank you so much for taking almost an hour with us. We won't take you away from sleep.
Anytime I can preach the gospel of the Bees.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Let's go.
We'll have to have you on later in the year and hear how the trip is going. But you've got
Thanks, man.
Myrtle Beach, West Lafayette, and Cincinnati, Ohio. The original Bermuda Triangle of the United States of America, as it is known as of now.
Thanks for having
follow
me.
Road Raj, join his Patreon, throw money his way, view his videos, read his content, and all that stuff. Roger, thank you so much for joining us and for supporting America's team in this year of our
Go
beef.
Bees.
Go
Go
Beavs.
Bees.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Roger.
No problem. It was a lot of fun, and I really am all in. I really am becoming an adopted Oregon State
For
fan.
sure.
So hopefully, I can make some fans among your fan base.
Awesome. Well, maybe
Absolutely.
some black and orange apparel will show up at your home or in your rental car that you have to wear to the game in Eugene if it does.
Absolutely. All right. Talk to you
Thanks,
guys later.
Roger.
Bye.
Thanks, man.
That guy's fucking cool. I could have talked to him for another 3 hours.
Oh, easily. Yeah, easily.
We recorded this chronologically, linearly. Hella Linear, the new IPA by Todd the Axeman. Anyway, all right. So as we mentioned we mentioned briefly in our conversation with Roger just now about the game, and we talked pre-show a little bit about this, and we'll see how much of that makes it into the final cut. Again, JP, you are an angel and a martyr and a blessing to us all for dealing with the editing of this production. Your final is your Oregon State Beavers 26, the San Diego State Aztecs, and the alma mater of Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk 9.
Almost met him once.
And Kawhi Leonard.
Neither of them played in this game, which may have had something to do with it. Would they have won with current Marshall Faulk and current Kawhi Leonard playing? Probably not. I don't think that would have made much of a difference. But you almost met Marshall Faulk, JP? Did you almost meet Marshall Faulk like in the terrace at Reeser between conversations with Scott Barnes and Alexis Serna?
No,
and
Marshall Faulk
was there,
in
like,
person?
oh, I used to be unstoppable
so
hitting the circle button with you in fucking NFL Game Day 99.
No,
because JP was like, stop, Marshall. I'm talking to John Canzano here.
Yeah, no, I was like, stop. Hey, Marshall, go hang out back there. I'm talking to Big Dave Uiagalelei right now, so leave me alone.
Shout out Big Dave.
Ooh.
Great to meet Big Dave in person.
So good.
I didn't even know Big Dave was on this list of people you guys hung out with in Corvallis. God damn it. I'm moving back. I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now. I'm selling the house.
This might not be a popular take here, but I have to say I would have said no one before I met Big Dave that could be able to toe the line between supporting both schools, even if they have kids at both schools. Big Dave is fucking so good at that.
Right. So
like
good.
he's so good at that.
And
he
to
cares
add
about
to that,
his kids
I will
so
say
much.
that doesn't give anyone else permission to try and do that. He is
No,
the
because you'll
only
never
one
even come close.
that we allow to do it. He's the only person. I'm guessing he went to both games then.
He did. DJ went to the Oregon game to go support his brother. I know some Oregon State fans were questioning that. I don't have a problem with that at all.
If you're questioning
Family,
that,
man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's family for sure.
that's his brother.
Yeah.
That's his brother.
Yeah.
Like,
But now, if my child goes to Oregon, I will never go there, no matter how good at football
That's
or any
different.
sport they become.
brothers matter. Sons, fuck that shit. Daughters, who cares? Siblings are where it's at. Anyway, we need to talk a little bit about this game. Oregon State gets what it needs to do to move to 3-0, set up an all-time, once in a lifetime, unfortunately, showdown with the Cougs on the Palouse next weekend. Number 14 versus number 21, 4 p.m. Pacific time on Fox, not FS1, not Fox College Sports Central 2++, whatever. Fox. The network that said neither of our schools are worth a goddamn. So that's
now have put 2 games in a row on their networks, including one on their main network.
Right. So we'll see. But yeah, I think you guys asked me pre-show because while you were hanging out with Canzano, Big Dave, Sarah Elcano, next you're gonna say like, oh yeah, we ate sushi with Jade Carey and did all the like other like cool shit, whatever. I was actually I was grinding tape. Doing the hard work. This it didn't feel like a letdown game. Like I said before, I think a lot of Oregon State fans are frustrated by what took place on the field Saturday, and also rightly frustrated. Canzano wrote a great column about it in his Bald-Faced Truth from the weekend that I encourage people go and read. That part of it is half of it was a disappointing but still kind of like clinical result from the football team, and the other half of it is just expectations are higher now. The expectation isn't get to a respectable bowl game. The expectation is get to the conference championship, flip off everyone in the process, secure a fruitful and successful future for your institution. And even had we not been caught in realignment hell, the expectations for this season still would be sky high. I think that is partially that's what we're feeling. I'm going to try to play sort of like both sides here, and I don't want to be like a flip-flopper, but so like people are really annoyed about the offense sort of sputtering and have questions about DJ, about just how truly explosive and high scoring this offense could be. The offense did score on all 3 of its first possessions, and while the defense was stopping San Diego State from scoring on all 3 of their first possessions, San Diego State didn't score on their 4th, and we ran up against the halftime whistle, so we put ASAP out there for kind of a truncated field goal attempt that he ended up botching. He had made 2 longer ones already. But it's like if you go into that half up 15-0 or 16-0, I didn't totally agree with the call to go for 2 after the Joshua Gray touchdown, which was an awesome touchdown, by the way. It kind of felt like we were doing it just to do it. I guess, like the logic on that play, which I feel like will be talked about in podcast and just on Beaver Twitter this week, is just we're probably going to win this game. We don't have all of our answers in our short yardage offense, particularly our goal line offense, especially without Jackhammer anymore. Like, let's go for 2 here and see what we can come up with. But it felt a little desperate in a game that you didn't need to be desperate. And it kind of more felt like the defense was bending, not breaking. But, I mean, Andrew Chatfield was incredible. Other guys were flying around out there. I'm so happy for Akili Arnold getting his first career interception.
Yes.
Dude's played so much football for Oregon State. He's been here through this entire rebuild and has serviced the team in so many roles. So I think
he lost control of his legs after that interception in the end zone.
Yeah, he did. You can see how excited he was. And that's a guy who's done so much for Oregon State. I think it left not necessarily a sour taste, but like I think it's fair to say that's not good enough. Like that performance in that game is not good enough. But I think great teams are often defined by the games they play when they aren't that great, and they weren't that great on Saturday, and they won 26-9 and took a pretty good shot from San Diego State, a San Diego State team that I don't think is particularly that good, but they came out motivated. And you got to give credit to your opponent too. Like, they came out ready to prove that 35-10 spot UCLA put on them at their place. This was their first road game. That they were like, that's not us. We have a different identity. And they were feisty on defense. And they were like, we're going to get after DJ. They brought a lot of backers. They brought a lot of DBs on pressure.
Felt like.
And they were knocking DJ around, and they were blitzing where we didn't have guys like designed to block. And our offensive line's amazing, but we do kind of rely on like that traditional blocking scheme. And they tested that a little bit, and they had a lot of success with it. So that is kind of a lot of word vomit about virtually everything that happened in
not everything
super clean.
Not everything.
Not everything. There is a lot of good. It was a very much a good, the bad, and the ugly type game. And throw all those things together against a real opponent, and you get a 26-9 victory. When I think there were, not to like come down hard on the guys, but I think a big part of all of this was we've got our eyes on at Wazoo next week, because that is a pivotal game that a lot of people are going to be watching.
But maybe I don't want to. I'm not going to chalk it up that. I agree. Maybe
I think it was clear that they came out ready to roll over San Diego State the same way. And the Aztecs had other ideas, and then they were still able to do it. Good job. But I think we had some eyes on Pullman next week.
I'm sure, but I don't think that's what I would do. Can't just players have a game? Can't, like you said, can't you give credit to the defense and the way that they were scheming?
I think it's all of those things.
If you're the coach, if you're the defensive coach at San Diego State, and you're trying to get a statement win to stamp your season, and you're going up against Oregon State on the road, what is the number one thing you're trying to do to disrupt the status quo and get a win? It is to
DJ.
Yeah, and the only way to do that is to get past the offensive line.
Right. Yep.
So of course, everything they threw, everything they had to get past him, and it worked. I'll put it this way: I don't think no one that we talked to said that it was a good game. And we talked to players after the game on the field, and like all of them pretty much said like we should play better, and that was an immediate reaction directly from them. It was not just off a script. I also think that we can just have a bad game. I'd rather it be a bad game now when we still win 26-9 than a bad game that costs us.
I agree with that.
A score, yeah.
I agree with that.
But I'm not sure I'm 100% bought in that these guys care that much about the Wazoo game that they overlooked this game. Because we were talking to them again, asking them about if they're excited about Washington State, because I think fans are excited about next week more than anything. And they're like, oh, yeah, like when we played them last year,
think
we won.
When I say that, I say that applies to the coaching staff, too. I'm not just putting that on the players. I think
maybe.
I think the whole unit had there's this, that game is circled, and I think there wasn't the same punch early that we've seen.
It was not the same punch. Totally agree, but I don't think that game's circled on any of their calendars. I really, truly don't feel that way, because I was trying to pull that that out of them, and no one seemed to even give me a
Right.
glimmer of
Oh,
it
they're-
of that existing. I think we also say things like, we've been kind of vanilla on offense, but that was by design,
Yeah.
though, right? 'Cause we didn't need it. Well, we weren't that vanilla on offense on Saturday. We had a pretty interesting play for our first touchdown. We definitely should talk about that. I do have some.
It was fairly interesting.
I do have some a direct, comment clarification. I'm trying to get a little bit more before we talk about it. But if we're gonna put it all together, let's put it all together in conference. I don't really care about right now. We're 3-0. We're 3-0.
I'm just trying to. What will you say? It was a messy game, though. That's all I'm trying to say.
It was.
I don't know if it was messy. I just don't think everyone had all their stuff. I don't think DJ played even close to how good he thinks he could play on a low level. Like if he had to define what might be a bad game for him, that would still be a W. I do not think he would even. It would be like way ahead of where he even played.
And that's why I think I'm not freaking out about 2 interceptions. Like people start circling that in the box score. But that last one came where I think maybe he was being a little greedy, but I think he was really just the game was in hand and he took that shot to Bolden. And I think it was just like, let's get in rhythm. Like we haven't had our rhythm all day. Like there just really wasn't great continuity the entire day on offense. And they were able to overcome that, which is what good teams do. But I do think the frustrations, it was a frustrating day. And I just want to say that those frustrations are justified.
100%. And I think these early games are always so interesting because obviously San Diego State's defensive coaches looked at the tape from Oregon State and saw something that they could exploit. And now it's up to Lindgren and company to fix those. And the big one being, how are we going to scheme against a team that's going to throw everything except the kitchen sink at rushing the passer, right? Like, what are we going to do? And I think that is going to determine how this Wazoo game plays out. Our rushing, the blocking for our rushing or a run game was great. I mean, you look at the numbers and Damian had almost 7 yards that was his average per carry. So almost 7 yards, 6.8. And Deshaun had 4.9, right? Like these guys were getting chunks at a time when they're running the ball.
And some of those holes were huge.
So big.
Like we could see them from the terrace. Like what?
Yeah,
Look how much space
they
he
were
had.
massive. But we didn't, like I said, we didn't get a chance to watch the whole game, but it did seem like DJ was trying to force some balls to Silas, and that could have been by design to try to work, on some new schematics, whatever.
Right.
We have to figure out how to get Gold and Silas running routes to force their not fastest defensive player to be on one of them.
Right.
But
and I do think that was a game that they were working on stuff like where I think I saw like Silas had 3 catches for 41 yards, and I believe he had 12 targets. So that's where 9 of those incompletions came from. And
a lot of them are thrown low too, which is like they just hadn't gone through the repetition to get.
It's not crazy to think that these guys wouldn't be on the same page. It's looked like they've been totally on the same page through 2 games, but they really have only played 5 quarters of real game speed together.
Right. Well, and I think this is a good thing. Like Oregon State is clearly a very, very good team. And one result does not change what we did at at San Jose State or against UC. It just doesn't. And this team is really good, and you need a bump in the road. Every team's going to have one. You hope that that's not a bump in the road against a team like Utah or Colorado or Washington or Oregon. You want that to be against a team like San Diego State where you can overcome it. And I think it actually almost becomes a good building block for the team. Look, the offense didn't have their stuff on Saturday. That is clear. We agree with everyone on that. But the defense, it put the defense in a position where they couldn't make mistakes, and they didn't make many. And so I think that's a good thing for the offense to know, like, we can rely on our defense, and that trust is built. And
good point.
That the defense is being overlooked in this game. I think they played exceptionally well.
And I feel like we've been we had the number 1 defense in the Pac-12 last year.
Yeah.
And it's still like fans will be kind of like, I wish we sacked the quarterback more. Like we've always been good. Like our pressure rate has been good, but that sexy stat in the sacks category hasn't always been there. And to sack Jalen Maiden 6 times is not easy. And also there is a few where he spun around and turned a sack into like a gain of 1 or 2. and it's making it, more like a quarterback run, whatever, that like took away like 8, 9, or possibly like 10 sacks from this front seven. Like seeing just Rawls, Hodgins, Chatfield, and McCartan back there constantly. We've had good pass rushers like a lot in the past, and it just sort of feels like this might be a group that will meet at the quarterback more and just sort of have that juice to complete the sack. And I don't know which of them is going to end up leading the team in sacks this year, but if we get one dude to double-digit sacks, we are winning the conference. And I think we might get 2 or 3 to double.
I think Chatfield would be the top candidate. I mean, he had a game on Saturday.
So good.
So good.
I texted you about that just because we all know, if you're new to the show, Chatfield, that's Benny's dude.
That's my dude.
That's Benny's boy. We all love him, but he's first team all Benny for sure. So after his second sack, I texted Benny, "Happy Chatfield Day," and he responded, "Let's go." And then he got hurt on like the next play, and I was just like, "What have I done? I'm so sorry." And he came back in the game, thankfully, so I was able to get some sleep last night actually. But it's like that pass rush has gone from like being good and like forcing quarterbacks into their late reads and to scramble out of the pocket and try to make things happen. Jalen Mayden's a good quarterback, a good dual threat quarterback, and he made us pay a few times too. He's actually almost maybe the perfect group of 5 quarterback to prepare for Cam Ward the next week. We forced Cam Ward into a really bad game last year at Reser, and he's looked fantastic through 3 games for Wazoo this year. And you can't really like set up your opponent as a scout team for your like next opponent, but like naturally that could be like a pretty just sort of like beautiful stars aligning kind of game plan type thing, because they are similar size and like with similar running ability. And our line able to get after him and finish that many sacks, and they probably had 2 or 3 more that were stolen just out of his like pure amazing athletic ability. The front 7 is maybe better than it's ever been since the Fiesta Bowl Beavs with Barnett, Siegler, DeLawrence Grant, and those fucking monsters up front.
Yep.
I don't want to diminish that at all, but I had to take a breath. I think since those Fiesta Bowl Beavs, I haven't seen a pure pass rusher like those 4 dudes like since like Victor Butler probably in the late aughts. So it's exciting. That part of the game on Saturday is exciting. JP, you've been quiet. What's up? It's because I've been being positive, so you're like, oh, I can't fight with Terry about being negative.
Yeah, I have nothing. I don't have a lot to talk bad about this game, because I think like I said, it's just it does chalk up to having just a bad outing, and I think a lot of the highlights are great, and the way that the team has shown some of the growth through the season has also been quite exciting. But like, there isn't really anything wrong with this team. When they put it all together, they're gonna beat anybody. Yeah. And we're touching on all those reasons why. So it's kind of like, yeah, and I think you have 1 or 2 that don't go your way, you're still gonna win, just maybe not in the way that you want to. And the defensive front looked incredible. The rushing game looked incredible. I think we don't shout out ASAP enough. I think that's another guy who deserves a lot of credit for stepping in and filling the role with Everett Hayes having been injured. But he beat him outright. Like, let's be clear. Like, he beat him outright for the kicking job despite the injury, and he's proven that he's the right kicker at this point. I mean, he's accurate. He's getting his points on drives that stall, which is really, really important, I think, for this team to feel like, especially rewarding a defense, right? If you're going to get the ball and the defense gets a decent stop, like, you have to score. You have to get points on the board. And when we had our offense just not clicking on Saturday like they were, that's going to happen again. But if you've got a kicker like Sir Atticus Sappington, yeah, I added that one. I knighted that man.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah, like then you just feel all right. Like, okay, yeah, as long as we're within the 30-yard line, we've got a shot of getting points on the board, even and rewarding the defense, even if we stalled out on offense. So give him a shout. I think I said this in our season preview that I think that that our kickers and special teams, that it was making an assumption that it'd be Hayes. as an X factor for the season, but it was just the assumption that I think we need reliable kicking. This team needs to finish drives, and they need to get points on the board. And I have all the faith in the world that Atticus ASAP's gonna do that.
Yeah.
Well, and hey, look, like the other thing to remember is you're not going to drop a 40 burger every single game. There are going to be games like this where you need to grind it out, and sometimes it doesn't. It happens against teams that aren't great. So I think the white or the elephant is not the white elephant. The elephant in the room here is: do we need to be worried, or is this a blip on the radar? And I think all of us are in unison.
Could you even imagine a scenario 5 years ago where we look at a win and be like, is this a blip on the radar?
A win where we doubled them up too. Yeah,
more than doubled them up. No, I don't think we need to be worried at all. I think I'm just merely trying to point out like areas of deficiencies that existed within this game. I'm not actually worried about this shit. And I think during the game,
the reason I'm not worried about it is because the deficiencies though are literally from some of our biggest strengths.
Sure.
So it's not like oh, they were outperforming and now here they come back to earth. They had a bad game. And that's okay. And that's allowed. I mean, I'm not saying you don't agree with that. I'm saying that there are definitely Beaver fans who feel like, oh no, we were wrong about these people, this group of these positions.
I think that assumption or that fear was floating around when San Diego State got that fourth quarter touchdown that made it 19-9. And I think what was encouraging about that is it was like, fuck, like we should have killed these guys by now. Like had things bounced the right way or had we taken advantage of the opportunities that we created, they'd be making this like 30-9 or 27-9 or something like that. Instead, it was 19-9, and they were lining up for 2 to make it a one-possession game. Catan makes an incredible play to shut that shit down real quick and stop the tight end from that little like blip tight end screen that they had. That was an incredible play. And then the next time our offense was out on the field was that 75-yard tunnel screen to the house by Anthony Gould, which some people I've read things like, oh, like in assessing DJ's day that like padded the stats a little bit with like that kind of like happens, but also like that is going to be the identity of this team is
that opens up because of the other things.
It opens up because of the other things and because Damian and Fenwick are such a threat between the tackles and DJ himself is a threat between the tackles. That like we do need DJ to get the ball to our speedsters in space, and they had been trying to do that, and then they did it. So it's like they had the type of fortitude and just like calmness of a team that knew they were gonna win and knew they had let this well coached, hardworking, talented opponent hang around for too long, and there was that incredible play on the 2-point attempt by Oladapo. And then the next time the offense got the ball, it was just like, get the ball to AG2 and let Ant take it to the house. And I just remember I felt
me to the house.
Race me to the house, JP.
No, me.
I remember like I was just watching Gould and like it looked like just Silas was racing Gould for a while on that play.
Yeah.
And then he cut it back just to make sure like their safety wouldn't get an angle. And then as soon as he crossed the goal line, I saw there like wasn't a flag anywhere. I was like, I feel stupid for being worried earlier. Like I'm dumb that I was like, what? They called a penalty on Kelvin Hart Jr. there? Oh my God. Like, I was like, it's dumb that I was freaking out. I had Huskies watching the game in the garage being like, is it okay? Is Oregon State losing? I'm like, no, we're up 26-9. They're like, it doesn't sound like you're up 26-9. And I was like, this is why I go to therapy, because I have a problem. But anyway, I digress.
Wait, did Gould and Bolden know that they were also racing me to the end zone.
Is that when you were racing them?
Yes. We were coming down the ramp where like the opposing team used to come down. And we heard the crowd just go, and I think at the second, JP starts sprinting down the ramp. Yeah. JP starts sprinting down the ramp, and we didn't even see Gould was in the end zone well before JP was probably halfway down the ramp.
JP had a hamstring injury at the opposite 5-yard line.
And JP's not that slow. I'm slower than JP. I think, Terry, you're probably slower than JP. Anthony Gold is so fast in person. It is crazy.
My sunscreen fell out of my back pocket. I was running so fast.
Yeah, that's right. It's true.
Yeah.
Which prompted me to put it on. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I would have gotten really sunburnt if I didn't.
And all I could say was, God damn it, we were down there because I was trying to get a good video because I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. So we were going down there.
It will be really interesting, obviously, to see how this team comes back and what the offensive scheme is going to look like against Washington State. Because the amazing thing that we certainly have been touting since, spring ball is how loaded this team is and how many weapons they have in different positions. I think it's safe to say none of us are proficient enough with the X's and O's to tell you where the adjustments should come. But I have full trust in the coaching staff to make the adjustments and put the ball in the right people's hands in order to, move the ball down the field.
Are you also including a 6'4", 300-pound lineman as someone who would be good hands?
We haven't talked about Joshua Gray's touchdown, quote unquote, run.
Yeah, it was a backwards pass. It was a backwards pass.
It was that was adequately assessed as a rush.
Yes.
But he literally ran like 17 yards after that to get that 3-yard touchdown run. I just would have appreciated it for him and DJ to get that connection as a pass. But also Joshua Gray, who has been a stalwart on our offensive line, and we are not in the situation we're in without Joshua Gray. And his dad, Jermaine, follows the show for sure. So congratulations, Mr. Gray, Gray family. You don't often see your left tackle son get the first touchdown of a game. So that was really exciting to see.
Not often, but we do. I mean, it's obviously been reported on that it's been a long time for Oregon State to have a lineman score a touchdown. It happened like one time or something since '96.
What?
We reached out to Joshua just to confirm because there was a quote about him getting a touchdown in middle school. Was the last time he got a touchdown.
Oh wow.
And he said it was 7th grade when he was playing running back, like they said, I think in an Oregonian article. But to tie it back to what you were saying about Joshua's dad being a listener to the show, his dad was the coach that year, and they won it all.
Let's go.
Hell yeah. So
that is a sign of good things to come.
When Joshua Gray gets in the end zone, what happens?
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. I buy that.
Championships.
Yep.
I'm all in on that.
Yep. So take that little nugget how you will, but I like to think that that's a positive omen, like the number 108 or something.
108.
The number 108.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or the number 14, which the Oregon State football team is now in the AP poll.
Before we move on past football, what were our predictions, Terry?
For
San Diego State and Washington State.
For San Diego State, Benny. We were all kind of close. Benny predicted a 31-17 win. JP predicted a 24-12 win. I was the closest and predicted a 27-10 win.
Wow.
So had we not, Of
course we were this close.
Had the Beavs not gone for 2, then there wouldn't have been a need for San Diego State to go for 2. So I would have had 27-10 exactly. Vegas. All right. So then for Wazoo this week, we have a couple of nail biters. Again, Oregon State at Wazoo, number 14 versus number 21. A match made in college football heaven, born out of realignment hell. Can't believe College Game Day is not going there, but I can.
Why? Yeah.
And
don't watch College Game Day. Stop watching College Game Day. It's your addiction.
Tell me how to live my life, JP. And anyway, game on Fox, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Here's what I am doing, JP, that I think you will agree with.
I'm
watch campaigning. Fox. Watch the game, though, you asshole.
Stream it illegally on Reddit.
No, don't stream it illegally on Reddit.
Don't watch Fox.
Everyone watch the game on Fox. JP is wrong. And he was wrong about this because he predicted that we were going to win 26-24 on the Palouse, when we're clearly going to win 23-21 on the Palouse, which is what I predicted. Benny's the only one who has us winning semi-comfortably with a 34-24 win.
I still feel confident with that pick.
But none of us had Wazoo at 3-0. So it's going to be a close one. It's going to be one for the record books.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to get to that game. I really want to go. There's going to be such a collective hate for everything that's going on. And I'm very excited to either see that or hear about it. It's going to be a party.
It's going to be a party. And I mean, this is what most of my Monday morning tail slap is about. There's no one I'd rather be with in partnership in this bullshit than the fan base of Washington State.
Fuck yeah. It's going to be a party, but it's also going to be a frenzy. And you know what else was a frenzy?
Well, it was a frenzy on the farm because we weren't
nonetheless.
A frenzy we weren't playing at Paul Lorenzi, unfortunately. But there have been frenzies at Paul Lorenzi so far. There'll probably be more. Oregon State men's soccer gets its conference slate underway. On Thursday night, they had a 2-2 draw at Cal. Whatever, it happens. That's not important. What happened today is what's important, and that is that man, Logan Farrington, a.k.a. The Messi of the Pac-12, getting his 6th and 7th goals of the season to pave the way for a 2-1 Oregon State men's soccer victory over number 1 ranked Stanford Nerds. 2-1 this afternoon at the farm.
That's what's
up.
Two
cool things about this. I mean, this is the first year of Greg Dalby's reign as the head coach of this soccer team. The Beavers have now knocked off the number 1 ranked team in the nation in three consecutive seasons. That's pretty fucking special.
That is special.
Cool.
And all 3 of those have come on the road. I would enjoy one happening at Paul Lorenz next time if you guys can do anything about the schedule. And Oregon State hasn't taken an L against the Cardinal in 6 consecutive matches against Stanford. So that is a pretty successful trip to the Bay Area. Oregon State women wrap up. I think they have another non-conference game that's like in the middle, whatever. But they drew with the Montana Grizzlies 0-0. On the weekend, and we'll be getting into the thick conference play pretty soon after that. But both of them are in pretty good position to make runs this year, and we want to. It's been fun that that soccer at Oregon State has really elevated itself on both the men's and women's level over the last few years. So hope to see that keep climbing. Also, quick shout out, Giants, the New York Football Giants, not JP San Francisco Giants, though there are Oregon State guys on that team. But the New York Football Giants today snatched victory from the jaws of defeat against maybe the worst team in the NFL, the Arizona Cardinals, but they were losing by a lot of points. And Isaiah Hodgins had the key touchdown in that effort. And we love Isaiah Hodgins on this show and love seeing his success. And me in particular, I love seeing his success when it doesn't come against the Minnesota Vikings, which he made a habit of last season, both in the regular season and in the playoffs. So seeing another team getting clowned by Isaiah made me happy this afternoon. So congrats, Isaiah. Great win, great touchdown. And good luck the rest of the way. He's going to start getting picked up in fantasy soon if he's not already. He won some leagues last year, and I think he'll be in that conversation again. Benny's like, what's my receiver situation like? Oh my God. All right, y'all. What else am I missing? Any other shout outs from y'all, JP, Benny, Roger Sherman, who's just been sitting here quietly since his segment ended, still on the show? Like, still all in on the Beavs? Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, just that it was just awesome seeing all the Beaver fam on Saturday. I think I speak for JP when I say that we feel really touched every time we interact with our listeners. It's a blessing for us, and I think that was certainly something that I felt very passionately on Saturday.
It's just a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful community. We love you all so much. Especially you, Scott Barnes, confirmed listener of the podcast, especially here coming up on hour 2 of episode 108. We got to get out of here. Any parting words from either you, JP?
Yeah,
Benny?
eight is just infinity sideways. So this episode is actually never ending.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just always
Truly full circle.
Yes.
2 of them.
which means
next
you
to
never
each
have
other.
to start editing it if it never ends. The editing
Yeah. Oh, hey, subscribe to our YouTube though. Like a real shout out on that because we're definitely putting up more stuff on
Oh,
YouTube.
yeah.
If you like seeing
We
our
do have that
faces,
figured out.
subscribe. If you don't like seeing our faces, don't
Still subscribe.
Or subscribe. But I
Right.
don't blame you if you don't subscribe because you don't care about our faces.
Right.
But if I see you have not subscribed, I will know that you don't like our faces.
Yep. And
I've been told
Once-
that a lot.
your boy gets his Peloton fixed on Wednesday, then we'll have a Belligerent Beeves fall Peloton challenge.
Yes.
Of some
Yo,
kind.
and I
Once
can
my
maybe
hip
ride
gets
mine
better.
soon.
What?
Oh my god, we are all
Be-
so
before
old.
before Benny's hip doesn't get better, so that
And
we
before I
take
can
it-
sit on a bike seat.
It's not team validate or team activate. It's team activate my hip pointer, please. I'm dying. Anyway, oh my god, this has been a long episode, but a really fun episode. Going full circle on episode 108 because of Hinduism. That's right. I was about to say
Yeah.
Mercury in retrograde, and that's a completely different thing.
That's
but
not.
the Hinduism that
Oh.
Benny was studying before the show. So thank you very much for that, Benny. And that's Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Wehage in Tacoma, Washington, who just got back from Corvallis, aka Benny with the good quaff, aka Benny Burner, aka Benny Blastoff, aka Benny Bull Game, aka Benny Bedlam, because he's fucking crazy, folks. Hit him up on all the social medias. He's at Benny L1986 on Twitter and Instagram, and probably the other shit that we're supposed to be joining but aren't joining, but probably click the link that said you're joining, and it's just the same account handle as everything
Probably.
else. Something like that. So yeah, hit Benny up probably, and my guy behind the ones and twos, doing all the grunt work, the face of the Belligerent Bees podcast. He's JP Bertram in Portland, at JP Bertram on Instagram, and at the Trill J on Twitter. That's at _Trill_J, because he is too Trill to be real. If you're not following JP, you are doing it wrong. I am Terry Horseman, at Terry Horseman on Twitter, and at Terrence Horstman on Instagram.com. And please follow the show at Belligerent Beeves on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on Blue Sky. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. And we are at Bellig Beeves on Twitter /X, because Elon still won't give us our extra characters in our Twitter handle. belligerentbeeves.com. belligerentbeeves.com /merch/revenge tour /buy it /now /get it. And follow our guy Roger Sherman. He's at Roger
With a D.
with a D, going to Myrtle Beach to hang out with Kenny Powers.
With a T.
with the T, Myrtle with a T. And follow everything that Roger is doing this fall, because it's really special, and he's shedding a lot of light on all of the things that make college football special. It's important work, despite it being a lot of fun and also very exhausting. Thank you again, Roger, for spending some time with us tonight. And thank you, dear listener, for tuning in to this 108th episode of the Belligerent Beeves podcast. Thank you for being part of the Beaver fam, for holding us down, for cheering for Oregon State Athletics, for supporting this amazing institution. Give us a 5-star review, rate and review wherever you get your podcast. Please, Apple, Spotify, wherever. It really helps us grow the show a lot. And if you haven't already, please share the show and recommend it with a friend, whether they cheer for Oregon State or not. As Roger already told you in this episode, it's America's team. If you're not supporting Oregon State, you don't have a heart, you don't have a soul, you don't have a brain. Have you seen The Wizard of Oz? If you don't have any of those things, what's the fucking point? So give us 5 stars on something then, and confirm that you have those things. Please?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this wild and wacky and ridiculous show. We love putting it together for you, and we love interacting with the Beaver fam. Thank you to everyone who stopped by and said hi to JP and Benny and Corvallis. And tune in again next week to another episode of the Belligerent Beeves podcast, hopefully after a victory over our realignment brethren, the only day that we will cheer against Wazoo football when we are there on the Palouse in Martin Stadium in Pullman, 4 p.m. Pacific time, September 23rd. Your number 14 Oregon State Beavers against the number 21 Washington State Cougars. Put every single TV on Fox and don't listen to what JP says. Put every single TV on Fox, every single TV on Fox. Tell everyone you know to put the game on Fox. And let's run these motherfuckers out of their fucking goddamn evil bullshit con that they're pulling. You can't spell chop 'em without a hope, motherfucker, so chop 'em!
Stop them.
Chop 'em.
And bring back Bernice.
It's about to be a party in Pullman.